We knew that what was happening out in the Pacific Northwest, that they were 3 weeks ahead of us. And it was just so clear that it was going to come here. I feel like Friday the 13th, the end of the day here, it was around 4:30. It was quiet, like it has a tendency to get on Fridays. And I remember leaving, and Saturday I was on the phone for like 5 or 6 hours with the others in the executive team because we were starting to brainstorm. And we finished on Saturday, and by Saturday night we were texting each other and saying we have to get on the phone again tomorrow. We were probably on the phone for 4 hours on a Sunday. And then we came to work on Monday, and it was literally like what we planned on Saturday was obsolete by Monday. So, it was moving that fast in the beginning. Yeah.
There are a number of specific moments that stick with me and will stick with me forever. And the first is on Wednesday, March 18th, when we were holding one of our first drive-up distributions.
And we just got pelted with rain. The papers were falling everywhere. The tents were falling down. The cop comes to tell me that we backed it up all the way to McKeesport.
As a human being, it was overwhelming to me. I could only see the line so far, and I saw it for many yards down the road. But then when I heard that the traffic was backed up to McKeesport, my heart sunk.
I think we were surprised by just the continual volume.
It was interesting because Lisa would ask me basically every day, how's our food supply? I've heard that there's going to be food supply issues. And I would go back and tell her, oh, it's okay. We have all these purchase orders out there. We place them well in advance. We have commitments from our vendors. And then one by one, they started canceling loads on us or showing up short.
By the end of that week, we were having almost 100 people come to our door for food assistance, hundreds of people calling the food bank for food. They were not already connected to a food pantry. They were recently unemployed and in need of emergency food.
That all happened in like a week. This was like a week of our lives. It wasn't even like that large of amount of the time, but that week or that 2 weeks was just, the impact of it was so huge.
When I reflect back on March and April of 2020, it was round the clock.
I wish I could say it was just smooth sailing because we're that good. But I would say the words that popped in my mind when you ask is frenetic, chaotic.
I felt like it was a continuous game of whack-a-mole, so you need to figure out repack for these operations, or food sourcing isn't, able to obtain the right amount of products. We have, distribution strategies that are changing. We have the building project that's going on there. And so all of that layered in with how do we put in the safety protocols and deal with COVID as a whole, it just seems like they were really compounding on top of one another.
I talked to food banks out in San Diego, San Antonio, and they had these beautiful models where they had like cars in these parking lots that were super, super wide, and they could go super deep, and they could all go through independently. And that is not our service area. So we started, refining our model. We worked with the local police chief. He helped, give us some insight about it. We started figuring out things like, we need to have a towing service on site. We need to have porta-johns for people because they're going to wait in their car for a long time. We need to bring gasoline because they're going to run their motor because it's cold outside. They're going to run out of gas. So like things that we traditionally wouldn't do as a food bank, but and every single thing was a learning.
We had to set up a whole second repack operation offsite at the Monroeville Convention Center. We have not operated a second facility here in I don't think ever.
The most challenging aspect of our response to the crisis is that this is a crisis that is continuing for many months and even potentially many years.
The food bank has such a reputation of being an organization that is there and is solid and doesn't waver and meets the need. And that's a great thing. And during this pandemic, it has also been the hardest thing. Knowing that even with the level of urgency and the amount of work that we're doing, that there's still people out there that don't have enough food, That's a huge challenge. That weighs heavy on my heart.
What will forever stay with me, what I hold in my heart from this experience, is the impact the pandemic has had on the human condition. The countless number of people who've come to the food bank in desperate need of food at their greatest time of need. And I am grateful that we've been able to respond and provide nutritious food when they've needed it, where they are.
So have things gotten more normal? No. Have we gotten accustomed to it? Yes.
Bringing John Eagle into this, they were a great partner to us at the height of kind of our worry at the beginning of the pandemic. They opened up their doors to us and provided us 4 truckloads of shelf-stable items that we just couldn't source at the time. Things like cans of soup, tuna, vegetables, different things like that. They realized that was such an important thing for us to be able to provide into the community, that they were willing to part with the sales, and even in a struggling time of them filling their own shelves, to be able to support the food bank in a pretty significant way.
There's a lot to be proud of in terms of our response to the pandemic. First and foremost, our staff, how they've responded. They've stepped up to the challenge. They've been resilient, even though they've been stretched thin at times, many times.
I would go back and say I'm proud of all the folks that have made every different type of program that we do happen. You know, like day after day after day.
We've taken on a lot of different community partners that weren't part of our traditional, I'll say, agency network, just network as a whole. And that's been really great for us to see other entities that had no relationship with us really step up and provide significant service during this period of time.
When I think about our elected officials, the foundation community, corporations, individuals, how they've responded and been so generous in their support, really stepping up and saying it's not acceptable that so many people are without jobs and don't have enough food to eat.
It was really inspiring to be able to see people work through all of the hurdles and challenges that were placed before us to make sure that we could continue and expand significantly the service that we were doing.